Welcome back to Andersen Acres. Today I wanted to talk about feeding and housing your quail. There's a chicken peeking at me. Anyway, this is take two. Take one, I thought, it would be brilliant to open this part of the little quail coop up and show you all the quail. But they all jumped out and I didn't even have the camera running yet, and I just spent 45 minutes finding everyone and picking them all back and shoving them back in. So, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to look at how pretty this quail. That's my favorite. This little girl is my favorite quail. She's so pretty. Look at the colors on her back. Isn't she a pretty girl? That is a girl. So she's, sorry, dropping wire. Anyway, she's a lovely girl. So we're going to talk about feeding and housing your quail. I'm going to try... Hi, guys. Hi. Hi. No, you can't come out. Hi. Hi, my babies. Yeah. They're actually fantastic quail. We're going to close that because you know what's going to happen? They're all going to escape and I'm going to have to do what I did all over again. Anyway, half of them are ran out here now, so it's fine. But, so feeding and housing quail. There are a few ways you can house your quail. It's not difficult. They don't need a ton of space. What I don't like, and I know a lot of people use them, and if you do and they work for you, that's fine. What does not work for me is those stackable quail cages with those pull-out trays, and I just don't like them. Our quail are raised on the ground. Why is there a little piece of metal in there, somebody asked? I don't know. I don't know how it got in there. I suspect that they pulled it in because that's actually a piece of flashing. I don't know why it's in there, but they seem to like it. I don't know. Anyway, that's not the point. So, housing your quail. I don't like those stackable, hi Moustache, those stackable cages. I just don't like them. They don't work for me. They don't offer enough space. There's a baby goat over there. It's nothing to do with anything, but just so everybody knows she's on the ramble again. Anyway, I don't like the stackables. They are not my favorite thing in the world at all. Right? They're just not. I don't like it. I'm not going to like it. I don't like having to clean them. Mine live on the ground. They have the little house and they live on the ground. They seem really comfortable with that. They don't need a ton of individual space, which is nice. They don't like to have a huge amount of space, I've noticed. I had them in a bigger pen. I had showed you once upon a time. I'll go over and show you. We took it out. Oh, in case anybody is wondering, because somebody asked me, why did we take this big coop out of the barnyard? We're looking at moving in the spring, and it's easier to move things if they're out here. Because getting them out of that barnyard was a bit of a pain in the butt. So, we moved things out here. But our quail used to be in this thing with that run attached. But we don't have a ton of quail. We just don't. We're not going to, because we don't need 500 quail. We like having just a few. When they were in that bigger coop, they were really kind of unhappy, actually. They weren't having a good time. Who's out here this time? Oh yeah, look at that one. I love that quail too. And that one. But they weren't having a good time. Hi, baby. That's one of my fairies. She's pretty. Yes, you're a good girl, baby. Anyway. So yeah, they didn't really seem to be enjoying themselves as much when they had more space. And that surprised me. But in doing a little research, I found that other people had the same experience. That a lot of times quail like it when they have a little less space. Hi, guys. Right? So it's not uncommon for that to be the case. They seem happier when they're a little bit more crowded. Not super crowded. We only have 12 in this. And you may not be able to see, but I guess it's 4 feet long and 2 feet wide, I guess. Maybe a little more than 4 feet, maybe 4.5. So that's plenty of space for the dozen or so we have, and they're really happy in it. Too much space made them nervous. Too much crowding makes them fight. So they're kind of at a sweet spot right now, They're just happy in the amount of space they have. So I wouldn't do more birds than what we have in this size, but I also wouldn't do less. They seem to get nervous when there aren't enough of them in the space. So don't overcrowd, but also don't give them too much space because they freak out just a little bit. The other thing about housing some people, now I haven't had this experience, but some people have experienced where the quail will jump up and break their necks on the top of the cage if it's too high, but also not high enough. So this height, I've never had that problem. I didn't have that problem with the height in the bigger one that they were in either, and that's twice as high. But a lot of people have recommended that thank you, that your roof of your coop be either under 2 feet high or more than 5 feet high, just so that they don't jump up and bash their heads and break their necks. I have not had that happen, but some people have. Okay, it's a real thing that happens to some people and something you might want to consider, at least down the line. Okay, because it's happened to some people. Thank you. It's happened to someone I know. So keep their spaces fairly tight. I'll say it again, but I do not like those stacked cages that people use when they have large amounts of birds. I understand it might be necessary sometimes because you're breeding or whatever, but I won't do that. I'd rather have fewer birds. Hi guys. I'd rather have fewer birds and keep them like this. Ours do really well on the ground. We've never had any health problems, nothing. They're just happy. Every once in a while we move the coop and then we just rake out the ground and we just move the coop around usually twice a year. So it's over here now because this is in the trees, right? So we're nicely in the trees here, so they'll be protected from the wind and the snow. In the summertime we'll move them out a little bit more so that they're not exactly here. Rake this out and move on. That's just what we do. It works for us. You have to find what works for you. So feeding quail. Feeding quail is actually really, really easy, depending on where you are. So if you're really lucky, you might live in an area where there's lots and lots of feed options. And you might have an area where quail are really popular. Hi. Just wanted to stop and let you hear that one. That's a black quail, by the way. He's quite fancy. That's not a black quail. That's the black quail back there. Anyway, feed. If you live in an area where there's lots of quail, your feed stores might actually carry a quail food. Okay, they might actually carry quail-specific feed. Mine doesn't. Quail aren't that popular here. Not a ton of people have them. The second best option is a game bird feed. We don't have that either. Game birds are not that common. But if you do have game bird feed, go for it. Your third choice is turkey feed. That's what we use. We actually use turkey starter because it's higher in protein, and these guys seem to thrive when I put them on the turkey starter. I keep them on that for their entire lives. These guys lay well, they act really well, they're long lifespans. I think our oldest quail is, what year is it? Our oldest quail is almost 5, I guess. Yeah, these guys aren't youngsters. Okay, they're not new to this year. These are a little more mature, these ones. So we use turkey starter. You can use regular turkey feed as well, but hi. That's a bug. You're hunting a bug, buddy. In my way, too. Oh well. Okay, there's a cat in the screen. There we go, cat in the way. Anyway, so we use a turkey starter. Regular turkey feed can sometimes be too big for them because the pellets are quite large because it is designed for adult turkeys. So we use a turkey starter that is a lot smaller, and I use that from the time they're little chicks to the time now, right? To how old they are now. Like, I think some of them are 2, some of them are approaching 5. So, yeah, they can live quite a while, not as long as some other birds. Like, I think our oldest is almost 5, and I don't think he'll see 5. I think he's going to be on his way out shortly, but that's a long lifespan for a quail. A lot of people will tell you they only live 2 years. Mine live significantly longer than that because they have the space, they have good feed, they're well looked after, and honestly, I have a vet that knows a little bit about quail. Not that we've had any major health problems, but when he does his farm visit, he takes a look at the quail, lets me know what I could be doing differently, and I take his advice to heart. So I think he's one of the reasons that my quail live so long. Because I stopped tarping in the winter. He told me no more tarping. You're going to make them sick. So I took the tarps off. And, so a little bit of time, and I learned a lot. So these guys live a long time. Feed them some good food. As for feeders, you probably saw it when I opened the door, but I just use these chicken feeders for quail. It's not really that big a deal. Theirs is empty right now, which is why they're being kind of annoying. But that's all I use. I don't get a specific feeder. I've seen people like, well, you need a quail feeder. No, you don't. For baby quail, this is not fantastic because the baby quail crawl in there and they go up on the inside, and it's really annoying. So for baby quail, you got to take the top off. But for adult quail, I just use these, and then I use the matching chicken waterer for these guys. Except in the winter, then they get a rubber feed pan because it gets so cold here. Thank you, Damien. Awesome. Anyway, they're really easy to feed. You give them food, keep their water clean, make sure their pen is cleaned once in a while. You know, move their pen if you... that's what I do. I just move the pen because it's so much easier. There's no bottom to this pen, so I just move it. No big deal. And they're happy as little clams. Or happy as these little quail. See, I have 2 black quail. I actually have 2. I like a selection of colors. That's one of my favorite things, is a selection. Anyway, so that's really all you need to know about feeding and housing quail. They're remarkably easy. They're such easy birds, and they're so wonderful to have. I love the sound. I absolutely recommend quail, especially if you're just getting started in hobby farming. So take a look. Maybe quail are right for you. Maybe they're not, but at least consider them because they're really easy keepers. That'll be it for us for today because it's getting a little bit windy all of a sudden, which is a little shocking. It wasn't supposed to get windy today. But we will clock out for today, and hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow. I think we're going to still be talking about quail for a little bit just because people wanted to see more of them. And I absolutely love to hang out with the quail. That's why I like sitting here. It's a shame I didn't film a little bit more of them sooner. So hope you tune in tomorrow. Bye!